All right, what's up, internet? Everything looks good across the board. Just making sure that we are live. But I'm pretty sure we're live. But let's make sure anyway. All right, looks good. Catch you after the ad break.
Bibili ka ng PC, most likely kailangan ng Windows. Pero saan ka kukuha ng legit Windows? Daming options, daming prices. Saka nito.
Buti na lang, may cdkeyoffers.com.
Madali lang ang order.
Search for the software you need, add to cart, daan ka sa payment options nila.
Wala pang 5 minutes, finished! May legit working CDK ka na para sa Windows mo.
Gamitin ang aming code para makakuha pa ng discounts.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out CDK.
The ad never finishes for some reason. But good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of CryptoWatch, and we'll be talking about a bunch of different stuff today. But let's what's up, Luigi? Well, let's start. Let's start with PC question first from Mark from YouTube. Bumaba na po ba yung mga RTX now? I assume bumaba na ba yung prices? We haven't actually seen a lot of it went down a bit nung maybe in the past 2 months or so, but kasi medyo na hype up na bababa na yung prices, especially kung nanood ka ng mga foreign YouTubers, lumabas sila ng mga videos na, oh, bababa na yung price, bababa na yung price. But actually, we haven't seen that happen, at least on the local market. So, bumaba na sila from last year, from the start of this year, pero hindi pa siya kind of the big decrease that everybody was hoping for and expecting. At least, yun nga, to be honest, hindi ko alam kung saan galing tong hype na bababa talaga yung prices for GPUs eh. They've been steadily going down, but I didn't see any personally, I didn't see any indication na uy, biglang babagsak sila. So I don't know. Sometimes, alam mo naman sa YouTube or alam mo naman sa social media in general, paminsan hina-hype-hype lang na, oh, ito mangyayari, then everybody else jumps on the bandwagon without any real data to support the actual thing na, oh, ito mangyayari. So, at least, yun nga, di ko naman, I can't speak to the prices in the States, but at least dito sa atin, bumaba na yung prices from the start of the year, but I haven't seen a big drop in price. From Luis Anthony from Facebook, if gas prices go up, do computer parts or components go up also? Well, generally, if gas prices go up, everything goes up because everything is tied to gas kasi yung transport. So even the cost of moving goods goes up. So bulk, the cost of diesel for the ships goes up. Even internally, like when they get to the port and you get the trucks to ship them out and deliver them wherever. So may cascading effect yun kapag yung gasolina yung tumaas kasi every aspect of the economy is really affected. We haven't seen prices go up pa naman. So, kumbaga yan yung kabaliktaran nung tanong ni Mark Jason. Bumaba na ba yung prices? Hindi pa. Pero tumaas rin ba sila? Hindi pa rin naman. Although, yun nga, it might happen because gas affects everything in the economy. Sige, we'll do one last from Luigi, then we'll start with the news for CryptoWatch. For modern fans, is it recommended to go for high static pressure fans for versus case fans for radiators? So, Luigi's question talks about like may iba-ibang klase kasing fans. May high airflows, high pressure, high static pressure. Usually, you want the static pressure for the, yun nga, as nabanggit ni Luigi, para dun sa radiators, the fans that you stick to the radiators. Although actually, Jay's two cents has a good video on this. Parang the theme of the video, very recent lang. Maybe I saw it like in the last week or something. So bagong video. Para sabi niya, yung topic ng video, PC advice that hasn't aged well. And actually, he had a good discussion about these fans. Nagsimula kasi yan dati na yun, they were really specialized fans. The way, depending on how the blades are designed, yun nga, pwede pa silang pang high airflow or static pressure or things like that. But that was a few years ago. Nowadays, daw, according to Jay's Two Cents, lahat nung fan designs ngayon, pare-pareho na lang yun. Medyo hybrid na sila. I guess they got the best features of both high airflow and high static pressure. So if you look at all of the fin designs or the what do they call the blade, or I guess the fan blades. Yeah, if you look at the design of the fan blades now of most modern PC fans, lahat sila medyo pare-pareho lang. So the although you do still have brands kasi nakasanayan na ng mga customers, like Corsair has their SP, which I think is their static pressure fans. So brands still like to distinguish a little bit between high pressure, high static pressure, and high airflow fans. But for the most part, that's really just all marketing na lang. The fan design now has basically standardized into a hybrid design of a static pressure and a high airflow fan. So short answer to the question, it doesn't really matter anymore for modern fans. If you pick up any modern case fan, medyo pareho lang talaga yon. You don't need to worry too much about, oh, is it high static or is it a high airflow? So, ayun. Yeah, some one less thing that you don't need to obsess about. I mean, in the PC hobby, marami ng things na kailangan i-obsessan. That's one less thing we need to worry about. Like, oh, do I have the right fans in the proper position to do the right job? Yep. So, okay, so the chat is kind of going now. Um, I'll just do one news out there. I'll do one news item first, and then I'll go through the chat. So, talking about today, first up is Biden's executive order regarding cryptocurrency. This came out just a few days ago. I think Wednesday or Tuesday. And then Bitcoin rose 8% after he issued the executive order, which is kind of funny. You think if you look at it, kasi wala naman talagang bago dun sa EO na yun. First, what's an executive order? It's just the president. So Biden is the president of the US. He issued an executive order. An EO is not law. Laws come from the legislative branch of government, so that's Congress, and laws are basically instructions to the executive to do certain things. Even penal laws. So let's say it's now illegal, like what China did. It's now illegal to mine cryptocurrency, for example. Yeah, that's a prohibitive law, and it's a penal law, but it's basically also an instruction to the executive branch of government that you run after those guys. The thing that we penalize, the thing that we said is illegal, you run after them and you prosecute them. That's the way modern government works. Actually, it's medyo siloed yung the responsibilities of government. So it's an EO isn't actually that powerful. An executive order is not law. It just comes from the president, and it needs to issue from the prerogative or the powers of the president. So um it's not really a new, and it's not even a new regulation because Biden doesn't have that power yet. There's no enabling law that has been passed telling him that okay, you can now regulate crypto, or delegating to the SEC or the FTC or whoever, the Fed, the federal bank, who the Federal Reserve rather. So it isn't a law. Actually, an EO is perhaps the mildest form of government issued directive that you can have, which is why I find it kind of amusing na sobrang tumaas yung Bitcoin rose by 8% after Biden sent out that EO. And the EO doesn't say anything. The EO is just a bunch of stuff, very motherhood statement saying na yes, we should look into crypto. let's form a committee to study it and things like that. So there was nothing earth-shattering in the EO. Although tumaas yung markets kasi natakot sila na the EO would be all about the negatives, like whereas cryptocurrency has been noted that cryptocurrency may enable illegal transactions, money laundering, things like that. So yung fear ng crypto community sa states, yung EO puro negative lang. But it turned out to be very balanced and it turned out to be very benign. It's just like a directive na we should study it to have basis for further regulations moving forward, perhaps to coordinate with the SEC, who seems to be the lead agency of the US government tasked with trying to figure out, how should we regulate crypto. So everybody in the crypto world was quite happy with that EO. And even though it said nothing, basically it had no, yun, it didn't ban anything. It had no direct issuances to any exchanges or things like that. But everybody was happy with it, mainly because it didn't just dwell on the negatives. Interestingly, also in the EO, it's a directive for the US to explore its digital dollar, which, if you remember the last crypto watch, we talked about the digital yuan of China, which is the best in the world. I mean, for a fiat cryptocurrency, the Chinese are really leading the way. Kasi matagal na nilang pinag-aralan yun eh. Yun nga, I mentioned the last stream, I think they started discussing it. Wala pa yung technical backgrounder, 2016 pa lang. So, the Chinese are really the world leaders in the race to have a digital fiat currency. And Biden's EO also directs the relevant government agencies to, okay, let's also take a look at a digital dollar. So it's kind of interesting that basically the two superpowers, although I wouldn't call China a superpower yet, but certainly the world's two leading economies are looking into some form of blockchain for their own sovereign currencies. So we've talked about previously why that's in China's best interest na magkaroon sila nung digital yuan. It allows them to better track their citizens. It's another means of social control. The US doesn't want to get left behind, which is hence the need for the EO and the directive to explore the digital dollar. Pero it's kind of late in the day, guys. Parang I mean, for the states, no other country has adopted a digital currency as their sovereign. No other country has adopted a blockchain project for their digital sovereign currency. El Salvador, of course, has made Bitcoin legal tender. That was big news a few months ago. But that's different from using blockchain to make a version of your to make a blockchain version of your fiat currency. And well, everybody is playing catch up to China. You can't beat China. Um, can't beat China for that. Wait lang I just wanna get rid of this spam. No, I can do that pala. But I can't get rid of the ano. Sorry, Lolita. Oh, did I get rid? Oh, no, it's still there. Okay. All right. So let me just go through some of the. So everybody was happy with the EO of Biden, and prices rose, then prices dropped again. Let's take a PC question from Mark. Were you the same Mark? Yes, the same Mark as kanina. 56K build na kaya na po ba 3060? On the hardware sugar side, a 3060 is, let me check. We have the Eagle from Gigabyte. It's around 32K. Let me check. A 3060 gigabyte Eagle is 34,500. So baka mahirapan ka at 56K because a processor, yeah, you'd be like you'd want to pair it with something like the 5600X, which is 18,600. So just the CPU and the mobile pa lang, yun na yung budget. So a bit difficult. Sup, Vladimir? Pinoy Tech, sup? Jackie, any tips po planning to buy PC rig tomorrow? 30K budget po. Usually, we recommend the 5600G MATX Mobo. You can get an SSD with that, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Really a bit. The 5600G is a decent processor and a decent APU, pero yun, it is really a entry level PC. It's an entry level CPU, so you need to adjust your expectations accordingly. Although it does play Valorant and all of the other 1080p games quite well considering for the price. What's up, Kaiser? I'll just go through the comments in order. Neil, tataas po ba SLP from Axie Infinity? I really could not say. I try not I don't follow SLP all that frequently, so I try not to make predictions for currencies I don't follow. Kasi yun nga, parang manghuhula lang ako, di ko din talaga alam. So, uh, if you've seen any of our streams or watch any of our videos, you know one of our mottos is na, hindi kami magmamarunong if we really don't know, and we won't speculate. And yeah, we try to be honest. When we know we don't know, we'll tell you. And in this case, I am pretty sure I don't know that much about SLP because I it's not one of the currencies I usually follow. Sige, one from Pesto. Would you say cryptos will rise since there are rumors that the collaboration of China, Russia, India might dethrone the US dollar? Um, First of all, I'd be very surprised if the Chinese work with India on basically anything because those guys have a lot of geopolitical tension because of their shared border dispute with Kashmir. So the Indians and the Chinese have actually fought several wars. I and the current Prime Minister of India, si Modi, is a Hindu nationalist. So his platform of government is very chest thumping, pro India, our country the way, our country the best. So setting aside whether that's really the best way to unite a country, sometimes it is, right? I mean, nationalism is a very big, in a way, it's its own drug for the masses. It's an effective way to bring a country together to make it more cohesive. Although it does have its toxic downside. So setting aside whether nationalism is the way to go, that is his platform. So ang hirap kung yun yung platform mo, tapos magko-collaborate ka with an enemy of the state like China, where a lot of national pride is involved. Yun nga kasi nagbakbakan na sila dati over the Kashmir territories. So I'd be surprised if India and China cooperate on anything, let alone something as technically difficult as deciding to support one currency that will dethrone the US dollar. And most likely that currency will be the yuan. So or the renminbi, however you want to call it. So India, I don't think would ever support that. Kasi yun nga, parang sampal yun sa kanila Parang even if it's to their advantage that the US dollar is no longer the de facto trading standard of the world, I don't think they would ever support a that the Chinese yuan becomes the default standard. Um, so that said, I mean, if the general question is like if crypto will rise because of developments in fiat currencies, that's an interesting question. It's really hard to say. Again, yun nga, parang lahat naman ng lahat naman sinasabi ko dito parang they're basically at the best they're educated guesses. At their worst they're just like, really pie in the sky. Like I'm just going on my gut and speculating. Crypto kasi so far hasn't really reacted to fiat currencies, whether the dollar becomes strong, it doesn't really affect when the dollar is strong, it doesn't really affect crypto. If anything, tumataas yung crypto alongside the dollar. When the US stock market is doing well, crypto generally does well. When which leads to a stronger dollar. So though the usual signs of a healthy economy, a good stock market, a strong currency, usually pushes crypto upward also. So it's not they're not inversely related na kung babagsak yung isang let's say the value of the dollar, tataas yung crypto. Usually, they're directly correlated, meaning tataas yung isa, tataas din yung isa. So, of course, now, um, with real world events playing out in Russia and the Ukraine, there is some, well, I guess it depends kasi on the currency that you peg it to, no? Parang, if it's the Russian ruble, di naman ruble. If it's the Russian currency, yes, medyo tumaas yung crypto, bumagsak kasi yung ruble, but that's because of all of the sanctions and things like that. But in terms of like the peg of the US dollar, the relationship of the US dollar to crypto prices in general, usually those are directly correlated. When one goes up, the other goes up also. So if any particular developments were sa Prevenjan, if any particular developments caused the US dollar to fall, based at least on history, then crypto prices would also drop. Um, but again, it's very difficult to predict. So it's not like it's not like I'm saying like, oh, I'm going to be 100% correct and I'm super sure of that. And it's general trends lang. Usually, if the US stock market is up, crypto is up. If the stock market is down, crypto is down as well. And that's the same with US currency. All right, news number 2 before we go through any other chats. This is a short bit actually. Bitcoin is dirtier now after having been kicked out of China. So the recent energy surveys, yung mga miners na nasipa from China, they had to move elsewhere. And a lot of them moved to the States. A lot of them moved to neighboring countries. Although like Kazakhstan, which had its own political turmoil right before this Ukraine thing. So yung kung saan sila lumipat, unfortunately the energy production there wasn't as green. So hindi galing sa renewable energy resources, most likely on coal. So the production of Bitcoin now is causing more greenhouse gas pollution and more pollution in general currently kaysa sa nung the majority of the mining was done in China. Actually, it's insane. Like by one estimate, China at its peak had 90% of the Bitcoin mining capacity. Then after the crackdown, meron pa rin naman, but it's dropped to 10%. So I guess there's a lot of renewable energy in China. Tapos talagang the Chinese miners were trying to make their mining operations super efficient. So they really relocated there kung geothermal or hydroelectric or things like that. Parang China doesn't have nuclear reactors, but I'm not too sure. And well, it depends on who you ask if if nuclear power is green. So that's a topic for another time. Kaiser, most are going to Texas. Yes, a lot of miners did end up in Texas or in Miami. I think parang Florida also had some incentives, but yes, Texas as well. Alam ko like there was a push to go to Iceland kasi maraming geothermal energy sa Iceland, so cheap and renewable. Texas, I don't know how Texas produces a lot of its power, although a lot of it ata is dirty. Yun nga, hindi siya green. Hindi siya from renewable resources. But yeah, so anyway, the overall emissions caused by Bitcoin mining has gone up because of the exodus out of China. All right, next question. Vladimir had well, Vladimir's opinion is that SLP is at its all-time high. Oh, is SLP only 2 to 4 pesos now? Mas sinusundan ko pa nga yung price nung Axie mismo yung AXS, the governance token or the crypto of Axie Infinity kaysa sa actual price ng SLP eh. So, I really do not quite know. Pinoy Tech, sup? Better to buy while BTC is cheap. That price is actually quite good now. It's around 38.8. The last time I did CryptoWatch, which was around Feb 22 or Feb 16, it was at 37.6. And in January, it was around 43.8. So yes, the prices have been actually tumaas to around 41 after the last episode, mga 41K, tapos bumaba, and then umakyat ulit because of the Biden EO, then bumagsak ulit. So, actually, medyo wild times for crypto. And it doesn't matter, guys, what the high is now. What matters are the fluctuations. So imagine if you had bought before the EO, tapos biglang tumaas siya by 8%. Benta mo na yun, 'di ba? So if you're a short-term trader, yung mabilisan lang, you don't really care too much about like, oh, malayo siya from its all-time high. You just care about that the fluctuations are enough to get you a decent 5% return. 8% after 2-3 days is crazy. That's a hell of a return. So, yan yung maganda, and yan yung something to look at sa crypto markets. Even in a down market, the fluctuations, especially now with Ukraine and so many things going on, the fluctuations are happen quite quickly. And then, akit baba talaga yan. 5%, 8%. So, yun nga, from 41, nasa 38 tayo ngayon. That's almost a 10% drop. So, if you're a short-term trader, this is actually what you like kasi there's a lot of room to make money. Kahit mag 3% lang yan, bumili ka. Tapos bukas 3%. Di ka naman long-term hold eh. Benta mo na. Naka 3% ka na after 16 hours. I mean, di ba? Parang that's a very good return. So something to keep in mind, which is why I really enjoy watching the crypto space and trading in it. The the up and downs. It's really like you can really make quite a bit good sum of money if you're willing na medyo medyo matatag lang loob mo and you get the timing right. Um, yeah. So, not tip for any short-term trader is don't get too obsessed on, oh, ang layo ng all-time high. Yung all-time high ni Bitcoin was around 60 plus K. Tapos ngayon, nasa 38 na lang siya. So, layo na. Baka babagsak pa and everything. But if you notice the day-to-day fluctuations of the market, there's really a lot of margin for profit. Let me just take a shop question from Clarence. Do you ship customized high-end rigs from your store to Mindanao? Yes, we do. We ship nationwide. Um, How do we do it? We assemble the rig, yes, and we test everything first. And then we actually ship the rig fully assembled already. So we stuff it with bubble wrap to make sure nothing gets dislodged and things like that. Although if the customer is tech savvy, like willing naman siya to plug in the GPU again and things like that, then we can also ship it, the rig mostly. Yung GPU talaga yung pinaka medyo delikado dun eh. The one that we try to I'll answer Reverend John's question after this question. The GPU is the primary part that we're most concerned about when we do shipping to when we ship outside of Metro Manila. If the customer is tech savvy, then we can remove the GPU after installing everything, tapos siya na bahala. Or if not, yun nga, we stuff it with bubble wrap, which sounds a bit scary, but we've been doing it for a while, and then okay naman eh. The results have been quite good. I mean, to be honest, I haven't had any complaints like, oh my God, when I got the PC, everything inside it was smashed and the SSD, which should be on this side, was on this side, or whatever. Wala namang ganon. So we stuff it with enough bubble wrap. In the States, what companies do is they have this kind of like pouch that it's deflated when they insert it into the case, and they insert it and then they inflate it, which actually looks pretty darn cool. Except that we don't have the same technology here, like we don't have that pouch available. So the closest we've come is to stuff the heck out of the interior with lots and lots of bubble wrap. So the customer will have to, um, at the very least, be comfortable enough with the computer para kailangan niya buksan yung side panel, tanggalin lahat ng mga bubble wrap, and then close the PC and then plug it in using the included power cable. Ship via air freight, airport to airport, or sea freight? It's door-to-door courier. So we ship out via Ninja Van, and that is yun. It's P2P, point to point. So from our shop in Makati to Mindanao, basically. Yes, they do use air freight, I believe. The RMA, if something's broken, you'll have to send it back to us here in Makati, in Manila. And yeah, that's basically something we ask of all our customers, whether you are outside Metro Manila, inside Metro Manila. The very least that we ask of customers is that they bear the cost of sending the item back to us before we can check it out. And if we'll send it back to you, you also bear the cost of shipment from the shop to your place for the repaired or replaced part. Lastly, do you accept crypto for payment? Yes, we actually accept Bitcoin. We've accepted it for a while now. It's actually also already integrated into our shop payment checkout procedure. We do sana want to accept more other mainstream crypto like Ethereum, heck, even Litecoin. Litecoin has been around for a while, but we're still trying to find a provider that would do that well, medyo accurately and di kami kakabahan. So far, we haven't been able to find any, but we do want to expand the crypto that we can accept as payment, and we have had customers actually pay us in Bitcoin. Revejan, you know the answer to this one. We do personal deliveries. Depende lang. Revejan has not been fortunate enough yet to be on the receiving end. Although, as to your I noticed you commented on the Isabella repair. So we had a to answer this also ties into Clarence's question. We sent out a rig to Isabella. When the customer got it, may problema dun sa RGB fan sa likod. The RGB wasn't working. We tried to we tried to remotely fix it, like chatting with the customer, asking him to check certain stuff, pero ayaw talaga. Our one of our staff members happened to be going to Isabela on a personal trip. So he volunteered na daanan ko na rin si customer, I'll check it out. So it turned out to be a loose wire. So that is something that can occur and has occurred when we ship out builds. May maaalog talaga. It's just the nature of the thing. I mean, unfortunately, hindi namin control yung courier. So those things have happened, like wires getting dislodged and things like that. So when our staff arrived in Isabela, they quickly fixed the part. Basically, he just had to plug in the fan, and then everything was good to go. But Revijan commented na sana all personal service. But parang I wanted to actually I did mean to comment, but I think I was just so sleepy when I saw the comment na better nga na at least we haven't had to come by to fix something at your place, meaning okay naman lahat ng parts. Except of course of your UPS, but that one got resolved naman eventually. Okay, wait. I'll try not to skip too much. Over the chats. BTC is on sale. Uh, it is actually. I mean, the price now is a very attractive price. Um, again, I can almost hear Kaiser laughing because every episode of Crypto Watch, I'm like, yeah, now's a good time to buy. Ang baba ng presyo. Then babagsak pa ulit yung mga presyo. So I'm kind of an eternal optimist when it comes to investing. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's not advice. It's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I would, to be honest, I've been so busy with the shop, I haven't been able to attend to my own personal trading. Pero, and the YouTube channel, man. Actually, to be honest, this past 3 months have been very tiring from a personal point of view. It's like I have three, it's like I have three full-time jobs. My daughter is 1 year old, so I try to take care of her personally as much as possible. I have to, run the shop. We do have staff and they're very good, but like things like ordering, things like talking to customers over chat, that's still usually 100% me. Um, Pushing upgrades, like we have a major upgrade now to our website ordering system, Project Pizza. So I'm in touch with Rocky the programmer. And then finally, the last full-time job is like YouTube. So every it's great that we have a sponsor, and please please do support our sponsor. Pero we have deliverables to them every month, so it's really it's like this past 3 months, it's really come to a point na parang paminsan gising ako at 2 a.m. either editing a video or shooting a video or preparing the list of parts that I'm going to order from the suppliers to the next day or something. So it's really been quite hectic the past 3 months. So I haven't been really been able to follow my personal trading as much as I would like. Um, that, and also I took a beating when the prices went down, so I'm still kind of smarting from that. Uh, like if you watch the other streams, I'm like, oh yeah, I put $12 into OMG, So it's like now it's like at $4. So it's like a 70% drop or something. Terrible, man, terrible. Pero yeah, that's the breaks. And I am confident. You know, I always say about crypto is that yun yung maganda sa crypto, babagsak siya, then tataas siya. You just need to hold, man, hold. Paper loss lang naman yan. Kaiser, it's gonna go lower, the Anton effect. I know, right? I always say na, yeah, parang, it's a good price. And then it drops. Yeah, so the past 3 months have been really hectic. I haven't been able to trade as much as I want to. Pero, I do keep track of the prices. Um, and I am tempted now, actually, to be honest. I said the same thing last Crypto Watch, but I haven't jumped back in the game. But I am quite tempted now to jump back in. Although it is a very volatile time. I mean, crypto by its nature is already volatile, pero ngayon mas malala pa because of, you know, Russia, the oil gas prices spiking, which we'll talk about a little bit, and things like that. So it is a wilder ride pa than usual. Vladimir Robert Kiyosaki, who I believe is the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, saying goodbye to Bitcoin. Actually, I did not know that he was big into Bitcoin. Um, you always hear big names either like, oh, going hard into crypto, like Mark Cuban last year, or big names bashing crypto. Usually the old school investor guys, like yung mga tipong kaibigan ni Warren Buffett and things like that. Although those guys, feeling ko they fundamentally don't understand what crypto is, and then they're kind of annoyed na bakit ang daming tao nagkakapera dahil dito. You know, it's like a scam, parang ganyan. Because they come from the old school of investing na puro stocks lang yung alam nila. Uh, to be honest, I think when I hear pension fund investors and people like who are used to dealing with bonds and stocks and things like that, when they kind of slam cryptocurrencies as being scams and being pyramid schemes, and you know, if you put your money there you're gonna waste it, and you know, kiss your money goodbye. I think sometimes that comes from a place of I fundamentally don't understand this, I'm afraid of it, and yun, I don't want to open my mind na what the possibility is. So like I've seen a couple of old guys online who are very ardent anti-crypto guys. See Robert Kiyosaki, I don't know his trading method. I don't know his trading success or his philosophy. I have not read Rich Dad Poor Dad, to be honest. Although it is one of those books, right? I mean, you always hear like Rich Dad Poor Dad, pero I haven't read it myself. Maze. Baby Wolf expresses excitement for Bifinity that launched by Binance or Binance. Um, yeah, Binance usually launches a lot of stuff. I don't know what this particular product is or who Baby Wolf is, to be honest. From Kaiser, crypto does usually rise in times of recession. Uh, does it though? Like I'm trying to think about the last financial crisis, like way back. Although it was sufficiently a while ago that Robert K filed bankruptcy for his business years back. Ah well. That's why I am kind of skeptical about a lot of people who hold themselves out to be financial gurus and things like that. Kasi well, you know, if you're an independent trader, a part of you does think that you can do it better. That's why you're doing it on your own, right? That's why you're not paying a pension fund manager, you're not investing it in UITFs or unit investment trust funds. Kasi inisip mo na mas magaling ka. Like you can do, oh, you can see the dog in the background. You can get a better return than those financial experts. At the same time, parang basically the way I look at it is you need to choose your experts. there are a lot of scammy experts, but there are a lot of good experts also. And actually, I'm reading a very interesting book now. Parang the title is Breaking the Internet. So it's an exploration of influencer culture and the general trend to distrust experts. So yung mga influencer, parang they're just uh, run of the mill guys. They're not. They initially weren't celebrities and things like that, but because there is a modern backlash against experts being told what to do by experts, and you can see that in things like Brexit, in the rise of President Trump 4 years ago. Um, I am wary of saying that all experts don't know what they're talking about and things like that. You got choose your experts wisely. Some of them can be quite scammy and just getting a name for themselves and things like that, just out for exposure, got lucky once. But some of them, you can really tell na it's not even so much the success rate. It's more like the thought process. Like if they explain their thinking, even if, kasi nothing is 100%, right? I investing is like playing poker. You do the best with the cards that you have, and you try to maximize your odds. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But what's important is the process. Don't go all in kung 2-3 yung, if you're familiar with Texas Hold'em, like 2-3 yung hand mo, tapos, you're just bluffing all the way. It's like poker. You want to play the hand to the best of your advantage and maximize your odds. Ganun din yung that's my personal investment strategy, and that's also what I try to look for in the experts that I follow and that I listen to. Na yes, it's good to have a good track record, but more importantly, it's what's your thought process? How do you approach things? Why do you think the price will go up, or why do you think it will go down? Yeah. So, but crypto does usually rise in times of recession. I'll have to take a look. I'll have to go back to the data. Although I do agree with Kaiser that I like looking back at historical data, which everybody says is, it's not a predictor of future performance. So past performance does not indicate future performance. Just because tumaas siya noon, di ibig sabihin na tataas ulit siya ngayon. Which is super true. But things usually follow trends, whether it's crypto, whether it's some other pricing. A lot of things in life follow trends, and that's what you look for when you look at the historical data of the for crypto. Oh, Lolita was blocked. Did I block that? I don't think I have any of my mods in the chat now. Shinji, sup? Would this affect the GPU and PC part prices to go up as well? Ah, I assume you're talking about like the gas prices and the war in Ukraine. We did touch on it a little bit last stream that Ukraine actually exports a lot of the xenon gas, which is a critical component in the lasers that they use to etch the microcircuitry of the chips. So that's one unexpected side effect that could lead to another chip shortage and or contribute to a delay in chip production, and that could cause prices to go up again. So it's too early to tell. I haven't seen it as a retailer. Our Hardware Sugar is first and foremost a PC shop. As a retailer, we haven't seen prices go up pa naman. Not to say that they won't go up in the future with crazy gas prices going up. Yun nga, with it, Russia doesn't really produce a lot of chips, and the materials, the raw metals don't really come from China. Although there are medyo uncommon things, yun nga, like that xenon gas, which apparently is super necessary for the lasers which etch the chips. I'm not sure which question Kaiser was answering. The 2700 is an iGPU equal to a 1050 Ti, I think. To be honest, I don't know. Like what the equivalents are. I've always wanted to compare actually. Although the 12700 is pretty good. Like I'd pair it with a GPU off the bat already. I'm not too sure what its equivalence is. Sorry guys, I'm like super behind the chat. Let's do a PC question. Kebong, off topic, ask ko lang about sa acceleration ng chassis fan na nakasaksak ng mga fan sa Mobo. Di po ba pag naka-max ang CPU, nag-auto-todo din po CPU fan? How about chassis fan? Ganun din po ba? Basically, the question is if the case fans are tied into the fan curve. Usually not. The CPU, in fact, the CPU fan has its own header on the motherboard. It's specifically nakalagay talaga dun para sa CPU fan yun, yung CPU fan header. So, yes, and the CPU fan usually ramps up if the hotter it detects the CPU is getting. The chassis fans usually do not follow the fan curve or do not yeah, they're not tied into the fan curve of the CPU fan. But you can use, I mean, there's a lot of software out there, Afterburner. Sorry, that's for the GPU. Or can you use MSI Afterburner for the fans? I forget. Yeah, but there is software out there that you can use to set the fan curve of your case fans as well. If you want them going full throttle when they hit like 70 degrees or 75 degrees or something. Um, yeah. So short answer, no, they are not tied into the fan curve usually. Is it in the BIOS, Ryan Calma, for the fan curve? Trying to think like what do I use to di ko masyadong sineset yung well because my PC is so old. That's another time. That's a topic for another video. Boys, setting up a budget for a 1440p 27-inch monitor, what GPU CPU would you recommend? Um 3060 or higher, CPU 5600X or higher. That pretty much would cover a 2K setup. Um yeah, so GPU 3000 series Nvidia or like the 6700 XT of AMD, although that's more equivalent to like a 3070 roughly on the Nvidia side. CPU 5600X very good. On the Intel side, 12500 I think is 12500 and up is a good gaming CPU. Kasi yun nga, for CPU you don't actually need a lot of cores for since the games don't really maximize the speed advantage that you can get from it. So you don't need to go bonkers with a lot of cores if gaming is your the primary use for the computer. Right, let's do the third point of news. Coinbase blocks 25,000 Russian accounts. This in and of itself, because the rationale of Coinbase was that they were suspected, Coinbase suspected that these particular accounts were being used for illicit activities. That in and of itself isn't like super surprising. But what I included it in the news roundup because it's an interesting question now in the crypto world. The whole point of crypto was to bypass governments and government authority. Walang central authority. That's the whole point of Bitcoin and all the other succeeding cryptocurrencies. Walang central bank. You're not beholden to any government, any institution. It's a decentralized token of value, for lack of a better it it, it has value, but yun it's not controlled by any one organization. um but now with the Russian conflict in the Ukraine, it's interesting that a lot of people are pressuring exchanges in particular to block Russia. And it's on one hand, it's an interesting argument talaga eh. Kasi on one hand, parang, yes, it's good that, if the exchanges were to block Russian users, Russian purchases of crypto and whatnot, that's further pressure put on the Russian government, further uh, in keeping with the other sanctions already put in place by other governments. So it's good in the sense that it pressures Russia. It makes Russia feel that yeah, your actions are really hurting your economy uh, and your citizens. But on the other hand, it kind of defeats the purpose of crypto. Crypto was supposed to be agnostic, like it doesn't care about anything, doesn't care about governments, doesn't care about actions. Yun nga, that's why Bitcoin sometimes used for illicit transactions because it's the mode of choice because it's anonymous. At the same time, nobody controls it. It's agnostic about everything. So some people are saying that runs counter to the whole point of crypto, na it shouldn't Sige, let me rephrase. There shouldn't be gatekeepers in place that should have that power over a cryptocurrency. The power to decide who can use, who can trade, who can have access to the crypto. So that whole ethos of, oh, iban mo yung Russian accounts, i-pressure natin yung Russian government, that runs counter to the entire thing na decentralized nga dapat yung crypto. Dapat walang mga gatekeepers na makakasabi na, oy, itong ano, oy, bawal na si US, bawal na si Russia. Oy, ito si person A, alam natin drug dealer 'yan. So bawal na siya bumili ng cryptocurrency. Um, the whole point of crypto was to be decentralized, agnostic of everything. So it's the world is messy, and when high sounding ideals like that you should be able to trade anything that you want, as long as it's not illegal, like you're not uh but you're not paying for a human slave, for example, or things like that. um or even then, like some hardcore crypto guys would be like, it doesn't matter what the transaction is for. The whole point of crypto was it's not beholden, not controlled by anybody. So the whole push for an autonomous kind of value transaction system versus the the good also of trying to pressure Russia into stopping its invasion of a sovereign country. I don't have an answer to that. That's really above my pay grade. It's just I find these questions very fascinating and interesting. That's really where the shit hits the fan, where the rubber meets the road. Parang madali magka-ideals eh. Like, you do a project. Oh yeah, it'll be great. It's for freedom. It's, parang nobody can tell us what to do. But then it gets messy in the real world. And sometimes those ideals have to meet with two conflicting goods, as it were. The autonomy on one hand, walang mga gatekeepers, versus pressuring Russia, punishing Russia, and trying to push back Putin to the negotiation table. Um, if you watched our latest video on the channel, it's a very personal video for me. I do also talk about two goods there. On one hand, the good that copyright brings, that authors receive benefit and payment and compensation for their work, for the time they put in, for their scholarship, for their brilliance, versus another societal good that society reaps, that that nations benefit from having more literate citizens, more people who have access to the widest range of literature, widest range of texts possible. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, feel free to check out our latest video. The title is na well, the title is a bit clickbaity. Parang man of culture, best culture websites to visit, parang ganon. But to be honest, guys, it's not really the culture that you're thinking of. I know what you're thinking of, but it's not that. um, yeah, so that's why really I included number three. Not so much like, oh, crypto exchanges are shutting down um, accounts from Russia. It was more like, I find that whole topic fascinating. Na yun nga, where is crypto really decentralized? And when people start getting, control over it, kasi ang dami ng accounts sa Coinbase, sa Binance, um, in effect, those guys become gatekeepers, which is something that crypto was designed to avoid, to prevent. To the whole point nga was to go around the central banks and the governments, and then biglang nagka ibang gatekeepers naman. Um, just another since we're sige, I'm just gonna do the ad again, guys, because I promised the sponsor would play it. Play it twice. Back at you after the break.
Bibili ka ng PC, most likely kailangan ng Windows. Pero saan ka kukuha ng legit Windows? Daming options, daming prices. Nito.
Buti na lang, may cdkeyoffers.com.
Madali lang ang order.
Search for the software you need, add to cart, daan ka sa payment options nila.
Wala pang 5 minutes, finished! May legit working CDK ka na para sa Windows mo.
Gamitin ang aming code para makakuha pa ng discounts.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out cdkeyoffers.com. Bibili ka ng
Oh, wait, guys. All right. So the ad actually finished for once. Let me go through some of the other chats. PJ, I hear you, man. Unfortunately, we're not the ones calling the shots. Sinji, another question. Is it worth waiting for the next gen of GPUs, which are supposed to come out towards the end of this year? Common question, and my answer is always, it really depends. If you can wait, best to wait. The performance gains of the next gen are supposed to be substantial. Between the 2000 series and the 3000 series, so yung Ampere, the current generation Ampere versus Turing, I think was the code name for the 2000 series. Layo, laki nung performance gain dito sa 3000 series. I'm not too sure. Everything is just speculation and leaks pa at this point for Lovelace. Then just just like as a trivia of the naming scheme for the code names for the NVIDIA GPUs, those are all famous computer scientists. So Turing was Alan Turing, famous British scientist, especially during World War II. He helped build was some of the earliest computers. Turing is also famous for the Turing test for AI. And basically it postulates if you're having a conversation with somebody and you can't tell that it's an AI, then it passes the Turing test, meaning parang it's not naman a sentience test, but it's more like it's legit. Parang it's indistinguishable na from a human. Also, kind of tragic, Alan Turing's life. But anyway, because he was gay, when it was still illegal in Britain for him to act on those to be gay, it was still illegal in Britain back then. So the government had him chemically castrated, and this really took a toll on his mental health, and he took his own life. And sayang, I mean, it's such a brilliant. If you read some of the stuff that Alan Turing did, grabe. I mean, uh, genius, brilliant. Parang nakakahinayang lang what else he could have discovered, contributed to computer science if he hadn't taken his own life. And this was by a government who he served faithfully during that he had a lot of um, that he did a lot of work for during World War II. So it and then yeah, we're really going off on a tangent here though, but it's sad how much the world has lost because of hatred and bigotry. Like what's happening in the states now. I think it's Florida that's trying to pass a law, or Texas, something about making the word gay illegal or something like that. Anyway, a bit off topic, pero yeah, Alan Turing's life is an example of how much the world has lost because of hatred and bigotry. The next one is Ampere. So baka famous scientist lang in general. I think Ampere probably came up with the unit of measurement that bears his name. So the amps. To be honest, it's always confused me, like the difference between amps. So the ampere, joules, voltage. I mean, my background is not electrical engineering, so those all measure, like you just think electricity, and those all kind of just fall under the general topic of electricity. But like the difference between amps and voltage and watts and things like that, I've never been quite I have to look it up, and then it sounds clear after I wrap my head around it, but then I forget like what the difference is. So yon. Lovelace is actually is another British citizen, Ada Lovelace, earlier than Alan Turing. So this was like 19th century, and also I think she was a friend of Charles Babbage. Charles Babbage came up with the design for like one of the first computers. Amazing in the 19th century that they could already think of stuff like that. Ada Lovelace was in that kind of circle, and parang she contributed early. Wala pa talaga kasing formal computer science then, but I think she also had theories on a thinking machine. And then if you take a look at those writings now, they eerily reflect what computers would eventually become. So, uh, yeah, so you got Ampere and then Turing, Ampere, and then Lovelace. But my short answer to this is if you can wait, best to wait because usually the performance gains are quite impressive. But if you have the itch for whatever reason, parang di ka na makahintay, there's a game that you really want to play, and your old graphics card just can't handle it anymore, then go for it. um, this is not a satisfactory answer to a lot of people kasi a lot of people are like, I just want a yes or no answer. Pero I really can't yes or no. Depende rin talaga kasi sa point, sa context mo eh. Kung saan ka nanggagaling. Yun, do you need a GPU now for whatever reason versus can you wait? If you can wait, yes, better to wait. But if for personal reasons you just want it now, sometimes it's very gratifying just to scratch that itch. Yung ayoko na maghintay, bilhin ko na. Total, nakaipon na ako. Then yeah, go for it. I mean, whatever would make you happy is the corny but short answer to that. JB Perez, is it possible to have sub 20K 3050s? I commented on this before, I think in Pwede Magtanong or something, kasi I saw a Facebook post from some random guy saying na if you see a a 3050 na naka 20,000, overpriced yan. So according to that poster, kailangan yung fair price below 20K. Tapos ito na, sasabihin ko na sa'yo guys, lahat ng mga dealer prices. So dealer pa yan hindi pa yan yung shop level. Lahat ng prices nakita ko sa 3050, 19,500 pataas. So whoever that and again, this is really what annoys me sometimes when I read comments on the internet. Wala naman talaga silang alam, pero comment sila ng comment. Akala naman may alam sila. And hindi naman sila nagmamayabang, but because I do have access to those prices because of my job, because of the shop. Um, and so it's always the easiest way to label yourself an expert is to just jump on the bandwagon and say overpriced, overpriced. Mga GPU na yan, overpriced. Yung PC shop na yan, overpriced. Huwag kang bumili dyan, overpriced. Tanga ka kung bumili ka at that price kasi overpriced. And again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, you really need to be careful about the experts that you listen to. There are a lot of supposed experts online. Um, But ito na, tatapat ako sa inyo, all of the prices, I've seen above 20,000 dealer prices for certain brands for a 3050. Mura na yung 19,500 na yon. So, whoever, that anonymous poster really just, gusto nga tanungin, sino yung supplier niya, doon na ako bibili. So, it's very unlikely that you will find a brand new 3050 for below 20,000. Kasi basically, hindi lang na walang kita yung shop, lugi pa sila. Because most of the 3050s I've seen dealer price have been above 20K. All right, so I'm only halfway through the chat, guys. Sorry, I do try to keep current the Kaiser. But the MSRP says, ay nako. I do actually want to make a video about MSRP na, saan ba yun galing MSRP na yan? Kalakuan. But anyway. Sup, Casey Bolios? Is crypto overpriced? Parang I want to jump in eh. Parang I want to buy. But always bad stuff when that happens. When I think that it's overpriced, it's a good price and then I buy. Casey Bolio's ama. Di naman ama. But you know, with these streams, I do tend to just ramble on. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a professor before, so I used to teach English at the college level. Um, I did tend to ramble on a little bit there also, so I did feel sorry for my students. But I'd like to think that my rambling was educational naman, even if not directly related to the topic that we were talking about. All right. Reverend Jan, still waiting on the commercial of the sponsor of the new shop. They haven't actually requested for a new cut, so to speak, of the of the of the video. So we're still okay with the current one. I also don't know how Rocky the programmer would bike. I guess he could bike around in the in the parking lot, but it's not the same, right? Parang hindi na siya kasing mas maganda yung labas kasi nung Giho eh. Pero maybe we might need to do something equally creative if they do ask us to cut a new cut a new ad for the sponsor. Casey Bolios, Rafael is single and he is recently arrived back in country, so he just finished his trip. The late Casey Bolios. I hope they didn't mean that like in a like they wanted you to croak basically. I don't know actually what nicknames my students had for me. Maybe it's better I didn't know. Yes, this is true. Rafael usually trades in stocks. Ako naman usually in crypto. And I have no idea. Like I don't follow the local stock market. I only follow the foreign exchanges enough to be able to get a sense nga. Kasi usually kung tataas yung stocks on a day where there's no war, on a day when there are no other supervening factors, usually tataas din yung yung crypto. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, not a good So he had a bomb prediction. Um, well, yun talaga yung mahirap. Believe me, I know. I'm always saying that, yeah, now's a good time to buy. And here we are. Although, if to be fair, like when I said that last time, if you had bought then and then sold it around 41, that's not a bad ROI in less than a month. Princess from YouTube, ano po ba cost ng pagkasunog ng motherboard at power supply? Na-void daw po kasi warranty ng motherboard ko dahil daw sa power surge. 3 months pa lang PC ko. Um, well, we do get this question more from, or this experience from people outside of Metro Manila where hindi ganun ka-reliable yung power production nila. So, sobrang dirty in the sense that the signal is not clean. So, hindi siya yung parang diretso lang, talagang pataas baba. Um, the general advice would be to get a good AVR. Although the PSU, if it's a decent PSU, should already have protections in place. Yun nga, mga OVP, over voltage protection, OCP, over current protection. The a standard PSU from a good manufacturer, take your pick, FSP, Corsair, Seasonic, EVGA, even Silverstone is, kind of decent. Um, all of those guys should have deep cool, decent. Be quiet. All of those guys should have built-in protections. So I'm surprised na nasama yung motherboard. But if you're asking how you can avoid it, yun nga, get a good AVR and get a good power supply. At at the most, masusunog si power supply. Dapat parang kumbaga, the power supply, siya yung parang secret service agent nung Mobo mo who's the president, and kapag when there's danger, the PSU will throw itself in front of the danger. So siya lang dapat masira, hindi yung ibang components. It's very rare actually that other components become damaged because of a power surge. Pero yun nga, you do need a good power supply. Yung medyo reputable naman yung um, medyo reputable na brand. Okay, last bit of news. Kaiser, sometimes the surge is just too strong, lightning strike. I guess, although I mean, yeah, very rare. And then it would help if your house has proper grounding. So yung may the third prong that most of the plugs come with now. Although it's not enough that the power outlet in your house has the third prong, there should really be a grounding rod that's stuck into the ground that all of your internal wiring feeds into so that may tunay na grounding, hindi lang butas tas wala naman talagang there's nothing connected to that third hole. Unfortunately, proper grounding isn't something that's common in the construction of our houses here. Actually, napatingin ako sa socket ko na wala namang third na wala namang third hole. Although yes, I do agree with Kaiser. I guess very strong ones would do it. But that's I mean that's well, yeah, it happens. Oh, but it's not like a run of the mill thing. Um, like I want to do a test now, like, can this PSU survive a lightning strike? Tipong ganyan. Pero, um, like, how would you simulate a lightning strike and things like that? And things get like super dangerous when you start talking about simulating lightning strikes. Gotta be some type of unlucky. Malas mo lang, malas mo lang. So the last news bit, or I just put this in as like speculation. So Russia, Ukraine, and oil. Everybody's starting to feel the pinch now. Pataas ng pataas yung gas prices. I have a friend who regularly uh, who regularly messages me na, uy, pataas na ulit yung prices, parang ganyan for gas. So yeah, gas prices are going up again. Um, Clarence, always buy from Hardware Sugar. Um, it's like where do we go from here? Basically, is the last news bit that I wanted to sort of reflect on. Crypto has gone up and down because of the conflict in Ukraine. Um, Initially it dropped, then it went up suddenly kasi some people attribute it na people are buying crypto to support Ukraine. So they buy, let's say you're an American, you want to support Ukraine, so they buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, then they send it to a wallet address that belongs to the Ukrainian government or something. Um, I don't actually buy that. Like you'd have to have a crazy large volume to affect crypto prices the way that they were affected by the rise in prices. But with the Ukraine conflict now, sobrang grabe talaga yung it's like really up and down. Will the increase in gas prices cause crypto to drop or rise? My money is drop. Crypto hasn't been a good hedge historically. So a lot of people speculated before na Bitcoin can be like gold. In times of crisis, when people want to keep their money safe, they don't know where to put it in. Usually the safe assets are gold, meaning that their value doesn't really go up and down that much. But Bitcoin hasn't really been a good hedge against instability because the price has just been too unstable. So I don't and this is borne out by the previous you look at the prices whenever something major hits. Bitcoin is not seen as a or is not yet seen as an asset that is pang crisis. Usually you buy gold pag may crisis kasi yun nga usually stable yung price ng gold. But Bitcoin price is anything but stable, especially during a crisis. And you can see that in the short time that Russia has been at war with Ukraine. Actually, when we last did Crypto Watch last month, hindi pa nga linusob nung Russia yung Ukraine eh. They were just putting troops on the border. They were still basically laying the propaganda war in place with Putin's speech, but they hadn't actually launched an offensive. And even then, so prices were already depressed then. Then they shot up, and then now they're down again. They shot up because of Biden, then they went down again. So very volatile, but that, as you mentioned earlier, is an opportunity you can exploit. Like if you want to If you're just in it for the short term to make a good, to make a good ROI, then yeah, 5% swing here or there is that's music to any trader's ears. 24 hours, 48 hours, naka 5% return ka na. That's damn good. So, uh, will crypto go up or down because of gas prices or the general instability in general? My personal vote would be, in general, it will go down. That so I am tempted to buy now, but not like not everything. Like I would buy a little bit, see if it goes up or down. Once you get a 3% return or something, benta mo na yan. Um, so definitely the market is good for short-term traders with some fire in their belly. Yung di natatakot maipit with a sudden drop or a sudden increase. Yung willing to gamble. Sometimes you gotta know when to hold and when to fold. So that's really all I have for this episode of Crypto Watch. Let me just while Princess added to her PSUOs, dami na namin napunta ng technicians at nakarating na kami ng DTI dahil lang sa void daw ang warranty ng motherboard ko. Sana I'm not really sure where the question is going. Like, if you want to avoid something in the future, something similar like that, get a good PSU and a good AVR. Um, I'm trying to think, to be honest, if we've had a similar experience in the shop. Pero parang wala talaga eh. But if you know Hardware Sugar, we're just like, yeah, sure, we'll try to get warranty. Yeah, sure. A lot of shops are not like Hardware Sugar. So baka inaano ko lang na, oh, kasi hindi na yan pwede kasi out of warranty. Although to be fair to, if it's damage extrinsic or sa labas na ng board, hindi naman kasalanan ng board, nasira siya for some other reason, usually hindi nga yun covered by warranty. But like, to be honest, we've been successful in getting motherboards replaced na na-damage to user error. Nabasa yung motherboard kasi nag-custom liquid water cool yung customer. Pero he asked, I'm not expecting anything, but perhaps you can try. And we also said na, sige, no, no harm naman if we try. So, we got the motherboard back, we sent it back. Tapos, pinalitan naman ni supplier. So, um, even if technically it's not covered by warranty, sometimes if you get a good shop like us, they will try to go the extra mile to see lang kung kaya bang palitan kay supplier. Um because to be honest guys, the suppliers, the brands are not that stingy about warranty. They don't ask for original boxes and things like that. And I won't go into detail anymore kasi regular viewers of the channel already know my many rants about like, oh, sa Hardware Sugar talaga, no BS warranty. Di namin pinapahirapan yung mga customers namin to get warranty and things like that. So we'll just leave it at that for now. But really, the suppliers are quite good on the most part for honoring warranty and basta legit naman na warranty claim. Sup, Ergo Bert? I saw you commented. Let me just go through everybody. Yeah. That is the pinned comment in that video, Luigi, if you're still watching. CJ, to be honest, I really could not recommend a laptop. I don't follow the laptop space, so I'm not familiar with the prices and the brands. Um, my my personal opinion would be get a desktop, especially for that price. Laptops always do come with a sort of premium. So kung performance habol mo and you really do want best price to performance with a budget like 30,000, get na lang a desktop kasi yun yung mas maganda na price to performance. Yung laptop, you really do pay a bit more for the performance that you get kasi mas mahirap naman talaga i-miniaturize components to get more performance into something that can be classified as a laptop. So for 30,000, you really want to maximize your budget, get the most performance you can out of that. And the best way to do that would be to get a desktop. I did, Kaiser. And I'm kind of annoyed actually, kasi it's really difficult for shops to keep up with all of the different variants. And then I like this current lineup of AMD. So it's very clear. You got the 2Gs, 5600, 5700. Then you got the 5600X, the 5800X, and then the 5900, and then 5900X, and the 5950X. But now, ang dami ng... Is this somebody texting me, or is this like somebody? Oh no, it was like the door behind me. Sorry, I heard a sound that it's like, is that the text or something? Anyway, um, so I'm kind of annoyed now with AMD kasi they announced like a bunch of different things. Although yun nga yung 3D na update, I forget parang the 3D architecture thingy na pang update sa 5000 series. They've announced that that's been floating around in the tech news for a while. And it's supposed to have parang they're trying to catch up kasi with the performance of the 12th gen. Um, but yeah, from a logistics and cost wise point of view, ang hirap for the shop to stock all of those different variants, and you never know what a customer will want. Eh. Um, so dati we didn't stock Intel after ninth gen, so we skipped kinda 10th and 11th. Now we're stocking the 12th gen. Then now we gotta stock the new AMD CPUs also. It really adds a lot of cost to the shop. So I'm kind of annoyed with AMD about all of those new CPUs. Yeah, head. I forget where this comment came in. I think I know, yeah, because I was ranting about those guys na the guys who like mouthing off on the internet pero wala naman sila talagang alam. In particular, that guy who said na anything above 20K for a 3050 is overpriced. Super layo from reality. Actually, I haven't been following his tweets. Elon Musk is like, speaking of experts, Elon Musk, I admire him uh for his entrepreneurship. And grabe yun, like he really almost went bankrupt when he was funding both SpaceX and Tesla. So very willing to put his money on the line. He doesn't seem like the typical uh billionaire who's like just buying yachts and things like that. Although in recent years, medyo lumalabas din yung side niya na very uh very demanding of his employees, kind of dismissive. Medyo alam niya that he can get away with a lot of things. So to be honest, I don't follow his Twitter a lot. I don't know actually what he said about crypto recently. Pero grabe nga din yun eh. Whenever he tweets about something, usually bumabagsak or umakit yung markets depending on what he says. Although even Elon now has been, at least in the news cycle, has been a bit surpassed by Russia and Ukraine. Although he has petitioned a judge recently, kasi nakaano yan eh. Um, he's not allowed to tweet. In theory, there should be a committee that screens all of his tweets, and that goes back to a judgment with the SEC. So Tesla is a publicly traded company, but he tweeted, this was like 2 years ago or pre-pandemic, I think, that he was thinking of taking Tesla private again, meaning delisting it from the stock exchange, and he already had a private investor to buy out the public investors. You're not allowed to do things like that with a publicly traded company that you're the head of. So the SEC, the US SEC, got involved, and then they came to an arrangement with him, which is it's actually fascinating. I think it's the only ang sobrang interesting kasi ng intersection ng social media of a CEO, of the SEC. So there's legal, there's social media, there's influencer, there's management. And it's like it's bonkers. Elon Musk and the things he gets into is bonkers. But it's the only time I know that the SEC, as part of its they came to a settlement with Elon. I think they fined him. They fined the company for his comments, and then part of the deal was that all of his tweets should be run through a committee or somebody basically checks what he tweets and approves or disapproves them before he tweets them out. But in practice, feeling ko walang gumagawa nun. So Elon Musk openly flaunts or linalabag niya yung deal niya with the US SEC, and recently he petitioned a judge to have that order lifted, basically saying that I should be able to tweet whatever the hell I want without anybody censoring or screening me. But I think paperwork lang yun eh. In actuality, I can't imagine like based because he said some other stuff also like after that. So it's kind of hard to believe that somebody still screens his tweets. Um, And I think the SEC has brought it to his attention numerous times na, you shouldn't be tweeting things like this and stuff like that. Even after supposedly may nagbabantay na sa 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 tweets niya. Yeah, so Elon is a fascinating character. E- like I don't wanna like but even before he became super big, I was following him mostly because I'm a space nerd, and then what he was doing with SpaceX was super fascinating. I mean, the whole concept of reusable rockets, it's like science fiction. When you see the Falcon X, the Falcon Heavy, they're reusable basically booster stages, and then they touch down fully automated. That is amazing, brilliant engineering, and it took a private company, not NASA. It took SpaceX to come up with technology like that. Saves a lot of money. Yung turnaround time, fascinating. Because yun nga, he is willing to take risks. He's like, okay lang na sumabog yung 10 rockets, but let's just keep reiterating and doing it better. Um, and he had he was trying to he was trying to call up rocket scientists left and right, and he already had the script memorized na I'm Elon Musk, and parang robotic. I heard an interview with a rocket scientist that he called, and he's saying na yeah, I did get a call from Elon Musk back when early on with SpaceX they were recruiting people, and parang sobrang robotic na nung speech niya kasi he had called so many people, and he was like, I'm Elon Musk. I was one of the founders of PayPal. I have money, trying to put up a rocket company. Are you interested? Parang ganyan. That's sobrang monotonous and not charismatic at all. And if you do listen to him, he's not that charismatic actually. So it's fascinating to see how nagkaroon ng cult of Elon Musk when the man himself, like at least his public speeches, I don't find particularly um, charismatic. I mean, it's not like an Obama type of figure na, like rah-rah and a magnetic kind of personality. Elon actually is like very introvert yung dating, di ba? Medyo awkward. So it's been fascinating to see the cult of Elon Musk, Elon Musk grow. But hats off, and there are rough edges. Employees complaining, very demanding work environments, very dismissive, can be kind of a bit of an asshole. Um, Not as bad as Steve Jobs. I mean, if you want to talk about asshole bosses, Steve Jobs. And again, it's crazy. Actually never talaga yun yung opposite. I've never been a big believer in Steve Jobs. I always felt he was overrated. But like 99% of the people out there are still even years after his death. Oh, Steve Jobs, brilliant. Oh, Steve Jobs, brilliant. But for me, I can't say that I think yun yung overhyped na founder. Si Elon, actually, for all of his faults, I think really does deserve a lot of credit for PayPal, not so much. Sige, he nagka-merger yun eh. There were two separate companies kind of working in the nascent or early payment fintech kind of space. Nag-merge sila. That eventually became PayPal. He was one of the founders of one of those companies, and then um, so I can see my daughter in the background. Okay. That is so. I'll leave my discussion on why I think Steve Jobs is overhyped for another time. But thanks so much for joining me. 1 hour 30 minutes. Then I'll just leave with Ergobert. Ergobert, where are you, Ergobert? Ayan. So last thought of the night is from Ergobert. Russia also forced to rely on crypto. Are they also ano? I guess to Sup Christian Espinosa. I guess no, Russia is also relying on crypto kasi especially now with the sanctions and baka ma-cut off sila from the international banking system. Um, so it did also help the price to go up. So both Russia and Ukraine. Pwede. Still, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, is that like a good volume? I mean, is that a large enough volume? Anyway, sup, Kaiser? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, and good night, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Crypto Watch. Yeah, if you're a short-term trader, really interesting time to be trading now. Um, just gotta have that fire and that gut to um to stick with it. Mark Lewis, I know, sup, Daddy Duties. O nga eh. One of the three full-time jobs that I mentioned earlier. We do have a video releasing in an hour. Like pagpatak nung midnight, we're gonna be releasing a video desktop tour. So I do a tour of my desk, the stream deck, the keyboard and the monitor, the mouse, and then my three monitors. So please do check that out. Yeah, in about an hour when it drops. And on a Monday, we have a in the industry for the first time in like a couple of months, and it's super fascinating. It's a local company that does IT security, so they look for loopholes, exploits that can be exploited, and then they advise companies how they can plug it. So, information security, super interesting, especially now where a lot of the war is also spilling out onto the internet. So like a lot of DDoS by the Ukrainians and vice versa. So, info security is very fascinating now. So thanks for joining me, guys. Happy Friday. Have a good night. Stay safe.